All right, welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to try to get to the bottom of this Luigi Mangione case.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a case that just keeps on giving us more layers. Um,
Right.
and I just find it so fascinating. So we've got a bunch of sources that we've been kind of combing through. We've got People Magazine, AP News, CBS New York,
Okay.
and each one kind of is giving us a little bit different angle.
Right.
But I think it's our job here at the deep dive to put these pieces together and see what we can make of it all.
Yeah, this case, it's not just about the crime itself. It's a story about society, really. I mean, you have the healthcare system, you have this whole online extremism thing. It's a lot.
Well, let's start, I guess, at the beginning.
Okay.
So we have Luigi Mangione, and the thing that's so crazy about this, he's an Ivy League graduate
Right.
from a prominent family in Maryland.
Well, and that's what's so interesting about it. You have this seemingly very successful young man from this good family, and he's at the center of this murder investigation. It's not your typical,
Yeah.
suspect.
It really kind of throws a wrench in what you'd expect, yeah. So the basics. December 4th, Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, is shot and killed outside of a hotel in Midtown Manhattan.
Very upscale hotel.
Yeah, fancy place.
Yeah.
5 days later, Mangione's arrested at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania.
And not just arrested, they found him with the murder weapon and a fake ID.
Yeah, it's like out of a movie, you know.
It is, yes.
But so before we kind of get into like the investigation and the motive, I mean, who is this guy, Luigi Mangione? What was going on?
Well, the articles, they point to this really dramatic shift in his behavior just in the recent months before all this happened. Like, he cut himself off from his friends, his
Whack.
family, and just isolated himself.
Yeah.
And then you have his online activity. He starts posting about his struggles with back pain, and he's expressing these very strong anti-corporatist views, and especially focused on the healthcare industry.
And he reviewed the Unabomber's book.
Oh, that's a that's a big red flag, because that kind of gives us a little insight into his ideology.
I mean, the Unabomber, he believed that violence was justified, right?
Right.
To kind of correct what he thought were the wrongs of society.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so we have this guy who's isolating himself. He's got these views. He's focusing on the healthcare industry.
Right.
And then the CEO of one of the biggest healthcare companies is murdered.
And that's where the motive comes in. So the NYPD, they think that Mangione's actions might be connected to an injury that he had on July 4th of this year, 2023.
Good.
And he had to go to the ER for that injury. So is this a vendetta, against the entire healthcare system?
I mean, possibly. Well, there was that handwritten document, right? They found that in his backpack.
Right. And that document is full of all this anger, resentment toward the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
And specifically these wealthy executives. And there's one line, it says, "These parasites had it coming."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's chilling stuff.
So, but is this automatically terrorism?
Mhm.
Because, I mean, the state's saying murder as an act of terrorism, which I'm still not really sure what that means in this context.
Right. That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's actually something that the legal experts are kind of debating about right now.
Okay.
But to simplify it, murder as an act of terrorism, it's not just a normal murder charge.
All right.
It means that the crime, it wasn't just meant to hurt the victim, but to actually scare society,
Right.
disrupt everything.
So it's like by targeting the CEO, he was trying to send a message.
Exactly, to
Okay.
the whole healthcare industry.
Like, be afraid.
Yeah, exactly. Incite some fear.
Got it.
But, whether they can prove that this meets that standard for terrorism, we'll have to see.
I mean, and it's so complicated, too, because you have the state charges and then you have the federal charges.
Right, that's not something you see very often.
So, no, not typical.
No.
So why is everyone going after this guy? What's the difference?
Well, so the state, they're focused on the murder itself.
Right,
Those
yeah.
multiple counts of murder, and that big one, murder as an act of terrorism, which could lead to life in prison without parole.
Yeah. And the feds, they're talking the death penalty.
That's right.
Like, it's
They're
serious.
taking this very seriously.
So, and then there's the perp walk,
Oh, the perp walk.
which, I mean, perp walks happen all the time, but this one was like
Oh, it was a spectacle.
the whole production.
Yeah, tons of officers, heavily armed, helicopter escort, walking him down a pier with cameras everywhere.
It was like they were making a movie or something.
And that's exactly why Mangione's lawyer is furious. She's calling it a choreographed spectacle, She's saying it's prejudicial to her client.
Right.
She's worried that it could bias a jury against him.
Yeah, totally.
He might not get a fair trial.
But, I mean, don't perp walks kind of show the public that justice is happening?
Well, that's the traditional reasoning behind it.
Right.
But critics say they're more about public image than due process. And this one, it was just so over the top.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder if it was more about a show than,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then Mayor Eric Adams was there.
Yeah, that's not something you see every day. Mayors don't usually get involved like that.
Right.
Makes you wonder why he felt like he had to be there.
Well, I mean, he told reporters he wanted to look Mangione in the eye.
Right.
And he said, "You carried out this terroristic act in my city."
Wow, that's a very strong statement. It's not exactly what you expect from a city official while the case is still going on.
It's definitely, I mean, he's not, staying neutral.
Right.
So the mayor's making it worse, but I mean, it's not just the lawyers and the mayor and the police who are reacting to this.
Yeah, the public reaction has been really interesting.
I mean, a lot of people are concerned. They're seeing this as an increase in threats towards executives, corporate leaders,
Especially in healthcare.
especially in healthcare. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's scary,
it is scary. Yeah,
But then you have these people, they're actually they're kind of rooting for Mangione.
it's wild.
They're out there protesting.
Yeah, they're having these demonstrations outside the courthouse chanting, "Free Luigi."
It's crazy, right?
I
Protesting in support of a guy accused of murdering a CEO.
I know, but it shows you how divided people are.
Yeah.
And how powerless they feel.
Yeah, like the system's not working for them.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And you can't ignore the role of social media in all of this.
Oh, of course not.
It's like these echo chambers where these extreme views just keep bouncing around, getting louder.
And it pushes people further, to
Yeah.
the edge.
It can be scary.
So where do we go from here? We have this legal battle. We have people completely disagreeing.
There's so many questions.
It's clear this case is about a lot more than just this one crime, It's
Yeah.
about society.
Yeah, deep. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a second to kind of process everything that we've talked about.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll dive even deeper into the nuances of this whole thing.
Sounds good.
So many layers, right? We talked about that document in his backpack, but
Yeah.
it's just these parasites had it coming. Like,
I know that's intense.
it is.
It really speaks to some deep anger
Right.
presentment.
But is that enough to say that he actually did it? You know what I mean? Like, he wrote that down, but
Right. I mean, it's not like a confession. It's not smoking gun.
exactly.
But it does, help us understand how he was feeling, what was going on in his head.
Yeah, like he really saw these executives as like,
Yeah, not individuals.
more like a representation of
symbols of the system.
right, the system, yeah.
That he thought was so corrupt.
So is that what they're getting at with this whole murder is an act of terrorism thing? Like, he was so fed up.
Right. They might say that what he did, if he did it, wasn't just about revenge. It was about making a statement, like you said before, scaring people, disrupting the whole industry.
Okay.
But, can they actually prove that? That's the big question.
Well, can we talk about that perp walk again? I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, that was something else.
They really went all out, Do they always do that? I mean, it's a perp walk, I get it, but
It's not usually that dramatic.
Right.
Perp walks, they've been around for a long time, and they're actually pretty controversial.
really?
Yeah, they started as a way for the police to show off the suspects they'd caught
Okay.
before they'd even been charged,
So it's like
to humiliate them.
shame them, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully make other people think twice about committing crimes.
It's like a public shaming kind of.
Exactly.
That seems a little, I don't know, old-fashioned.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And a lot of people say it's unfair because they're assuming the person's guilty.
Right, before a trial.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's what Mangione's lawyer is saying.
Yeah, she's saying all that media attention, all those cameras,
Right.
it could make it really hard for him to get a fair trial.
But the mayor said he wanted to be there. Like, he wanted to look Mangione in the eye. What do you make of that?
Well, I guess you could say he's supporting the victim's family, showing the city that he's tough on crime.
Right.
But it's also, it's kind of mixing politics with the legal system.
It is, yeah.
It's not really his place to be there.
It's kind of messy, right? And then you have the public, and they're all over the place with this, right?
Yeah, it's been fascinating to watch, honestly,
Yeah.
because you have people, they're terrified, right?
Yeah.
They're thinking, A CEO can just be murdered like this.
Right.
And what does that mean for them?
Yeah, for their safety.
Yeah.
And then there's the other side. They're like, free Luigi.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like they see him as some kind of, I don't know, folk hero.
Right, fighting the system.
Yeah, they're holding rallies for him.
It's wild.
It is wild.
But he's accused of murder.
Right? I know, and it's unsettling because it shows you how much anger there is out there.
Yeah.
People are so frustrated with the system, they're willing to overlook
Murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary.
It is.
But so, I mean, did he do it? I mean, we have the note, we have his online stuff. We know he was isolated.
Right.
He had a reason to be angry.
Yeah.
But is that enough to actually say he's guilty?
Well, that's what the jury's for, right? I mean, all that stuff, it's what they call circumstantial evidence.
Okay.
It can be really powerful, but it's not always, enough.
You'd need more.
Need more.
Yeah. And he's got 2 trials, right? State and federal.
Right.
I'm still not really clear on why they need to do it twice.
Well, it's not that unusual for a case to be under both state and federal jurisdiction.
Okay.
Especially when you have something like this that, it crossed state lines.
Right.
And it's a big deal for the whole country, national security and all that.
So are they like competing, the state and the feds? Like, who can punish him more?
No, it's not about that.
Okay.
It's about making sure that justice is served, from both sides, because
Right.
sometimes federal law is just, it's a better fit for certain crimes,
Oh, I see.
especially when it comes to, like I said, things that affect the whole country.
Okay.
And they might have different penalties, the feds.
Yeah.
It might be more serious.
So even if he's found guilty in one trial, he could still have another one
Yeah, that's possible.
and potentially get the death penalty.
That's right. The feds, they do things their own way.
Wow. So this is a long way from over.
Yeah, this is just the beginning.
Yeah. And while we wait for the trial, everyone's going to keep arguing.
Right.
I mean, it's healthcare, it's security, it's like everything all rolled into one,
Yeah, it's really a reflection of what's going on in society right now.
Yeah. Speak.
Social media is just making everything louder,
Yeah.
more extreme.
It's like a pressure cooker, It's like
Yeah,
everything's just building up.
it is.
So I think we need to take another break, kind of process all of this, and then when we come back, we can talk about like the bigger picture.
Sounds good.
Where do we go from here? It's like, are we at a breaking point? Is this like the beginning of something bigger?
It might be, yeah. This case, it's like it's uncovered all this frustration, all this resentment that's been building up for a while.
Yeah, it's like it's all coming to a head.
Yeah, and you have all these things happening at the same time, like healthcare costs are going up.
Right.
The economy's not great for a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
People don't trust the government.
And social media just throws gasoline on the fire.
Oh, absolutely. Those algorithms, they just keep feeding you the same stuff,
Right.
confirming what you already think.
So you're in your own little bubble,
Exactly.
and you never have to hear anything that challenges your views.
Right, and that's how people get radicalized.
So social media is making extremism worse.
It's definitely playing a role.
It's making it easier for people to get sucked into these extreme ideologies.
Yeah, because when you feel like nobody's listening to you, when you feel like you're being ignored,
Right.
you're more likely to gravitate towards something that gives you simple answers.
Yeah, even if those answers are dangerous.
Exactly.
And it seems like in this case, healthcare is the target,
Yeah, they're the bad guys.
the big bad villain.
And you see it everywhere, people protesting conspiracy theories online.
Right.
And even people defending Mangione, saying he's some kind of hero.
Scary though, right? I mean, are we going to see more of this? Are people going to start thinking violence is the answer?
That's the worry, yeah.
Mm.
Copycat attacks,
So how do we stop it? How do we fix this? It feels like we're headed for a disaster.
It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of changes.
Yeah.
We need to deal with the root causes, like the inequality, the economic problems.
Yeah.
We need to make healthcare affordable.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to find a way to talk to each other, like actually listen to people we disagree with.
That's a tall order.
It is. But we've done it before,
Right.
We've faced big challenges before.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not going to be easy, but we can do it if we work together.
And what about social media? I mean, can we do anything about that?
Yeah, the companies, they need to step up, better content moderation, algorithms that show you different viewpoints, not just the same stuff over and over again.
So we need to hold them accountable.
Yeah, make them take responsibility.
But while we're waiting for all that to happen, what can we do? As individuals, it feels like. Like, what can I do? It's such a big problem.
I know, it can feel that way. But even small things make a difference.
Okay.
Talk to people you disagree with.
Yeah.
Really listen to them.
Right.
Check your own biases,
Yeah.
Support organizations that are working on these issues.
Okay.
And don't give up hope. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, you're right.
We can change things, but we got to work for it.
It's like we're all in this together, right?
We are, yeah. We can't just sit around and wait for someone else to fix it.
We have to do something.
We got to be part of the solution.
Yeah. So this deep dive, I mean, we've talked about a lot, the facts of the case, the legal stuff.
Right.
But it's really about so much more, right?
It is, yeah. It's about, like we said, what's going on in society.
The big questions.
Yeah, the big questions.
So as you're thinking about all this, I mean, what do you think? Could this case actually change things? Could it lead to better health care, or maybe force us to deal with social media in a different way?
I don't know. I guess we'll see, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's brought up a lot of problems.
It has, yeah.
It's shown us where some of the cracks are,
Yeah, and now we have to decide what to do about it.
Right. Are we going to ignore it, or are we going to actually try to make things better?
That's the question.
Yeah. So until next time, keep thinking, keep asking those tough questions, and keep diving deep.
See you next time.